Would you like to learn how to cut out curved fins? Fins that have a nice curved edge to them? That's what I'm going to cover in this video. Hi, I'm Tim Van Milligan from Apogee Components. I'm going to show you today how to cut out fins that are curved. Now this is not a curved fin, this is actually a pattern. What I did is I first started out on the computer drawing out my fins and then laying them out on a piece of balsa wood. Now this is a 3x9 sheet of balsa wood, so that's where the outline comes from right here. And what I'll do is I want to transfer this pattern to the wood itself. So I'll take some spray adhesive just like this, and you want to do this outdoors because this is an aerosol and it's really gummy and you don't want to be breathing it and it smells nasty. So take the spray adhesive, spray the back side of it, and that's what this one is right here. It's already pre-tacky. And the adhesive comes off. It doesn't leave any residue on the wood. It will stay on the paper. And I'll just cut out around the pattern. Now you can go on the line or you can go over the line. It really doesn't matter at this point. The important thing is that when you lay it on the wood, that the wood grain is in the right direction. And I'll explain that here in just a second. Okay, so now the wood is strong in one direction, so if I try to bend it this way, it's very hard to break. So this is the wood grain, and that's, you see the lines of the wood here. And you want to orient the fin so that the strongest part points towards the fin. So now if I try to bend this way, it snaps real easy. So if this is my rocket, and my rocket's going to be up like this, I want the wood grain going parallel to the front edge of the fin. Now this fin is curved, so it's not going to be perfect, but I want to lay it on the wood. So here's my wood grain going this way, and I want to lay it so that the leading edge of the fin is kind of parallel in that direction. So this is the way I want to lay it out on a piece of wood. And that's where this pattern comes in. You can see I've got it in approximately the same direction. So then I'll just take this pattern and then just center it on the wood, making sure that it doesn't go over the edge. See, if I flip it over, I can't see the lines on the back sides. So then I know that I have it in the right direction and everything's fine. Now, I did the same thing with this pattern. I prefer to use paper, but if you're just starting out, you might want to use a pattern like this that's made out of hard plastic. And the reason for that is when you lay it on the wood, you can use the edge of the pattern to help guide the knife. Where if you're doing it just with paper, you have to have a really steady hand. So when you're first starting out, you might want to make the pattern first. And this is exactly the same method. You're going to take a paper pattern, put it on the plastic, then cut it out. And once you get it cut out, then sand the edges so that it's nice and smooth. And then I can take it on my piece of wood, lay it in the right direction. I always like to do the straight edge first, and there's always going to be one straight edge because it's going to go on a body tube. Now watch how I hold it down with my fingers. I'm pressing really hard because I don't want that pattern to move at all. Once the pattern's on there, it can't move even when I rotate the thing around like that. And then I'm going to hold it kind of like a pencil, and I want to pull it back, and I'm using the edge of the plastic to help guide the blade so that if my blade strays away, it always goes away from the pattern and not into the pattern. And I'm always protecting the wood underneath. Don't try to cut through all at one in one slice. I'm going to make probably 3 or 4 cuts. And you can see that as the deeper that I go into the wood, I'm bending the knife downward because I want to use the edge and not the tip, because the edge is nice and sharp. This is some really hard wood here. I can feel it right in this area here where the grain is really tight. Okay, so now I've gone all the way through. In fact, I could probably snap that off just to show you that it's all the way through. I did that, and I pressed really hard on this pattern because, like I said, it can't move. Because if it moves, then I'm in trouble. I'll never get it realigned perfectly. So now I rotate the wood around so that I can draw the knife going this way. And again, I'm going to follow the curvature of the pattern. And I'm going to lift my knife up and then come back to the starting point. And the reason for this is that way I don't have to move the wood around a lot. See, now I need to rotate the wood. So over in this area, I'm already through. I can start to feel right about here, I'm cutting wood again. So you want to try to feel it. You want to feel where it gets hard to pull, because that means you're going through the wood. Right in this area is really hard. There we go. And then it popped off. And then I can lift off my pattern, and then I have a nice piece of wood like that. So that's using the pattern. If I'm using just the paper, this takes a steadier hand, as I said before. So this time I'm going to use a ruler. This when I covered the cutting out a straight edge fin in a previous video, I showed you how to use the ruler, and I'm going to use that same technique. So I'm going to lay the ruler on top of the pattern and then draw it across. And it always, I forgot to mention this, always start with a fresh hobby blade on your knife because they're nice and sharp. Okay, when you hear it snap, that means you're all the way through, just like that. Now, when I have 2 fins together like this, I like to cut them apart. And the reason is, as before, if my blade comes away, it will go away, and then I might cut into this fin. So I don't want to cut into that fin, so I'm going to cut right between the 2 fins, separate them. Less of a chance of ruining another fin, just like that. Okay, so now same technique as before, but now I don't have anything to guide me. If I cut into the paper, I'm going to ruin the fin. So I'm going to go real slow. Really light cuts. Okay, so that's that piece. Rotate it around. Nice and slow. You can see I'm holding down hard on the fin to make sure it doesn't rotate on my table. I want to keep it nice and steady. So that right here is where it's really hard to cut. That's a nice piece of dense wood right there. Okay, so now I've cut it out, and I can just peel off the paper, and now I have that fin. Now, when you're doing curved fins, you're always going to have to come back, stack your fins together, and then sand the edges so you have a nice uniform fin for all your fins on your rocket. So that is the technique of cutting out fins with curved edges. My name is Tim Van Milligan. You're watching the Apogee Rocketry Workshop. Over here to the side we have some other videos that I think you'll enjoy. Down below, please leave a comment. We love reading your comments and we try to answer as many as we can if you have questions. The better place to ask questions is on our website, because then we can directly get to your questions faster because they come right into our email box. So may the winds be light, may the skies be blue, and may all your rockets fly straight and true.